Hello, Dr. Shiny here. Today I'm going to show you guys how the plugin Towny works, and specifically how it works on my server. This plugin can be installed on any bukkit server and configured in several different ways, but this is going to show you how it's configured, or how to use it under the configuration as it is on my server. There will be a lot of things that are just general that you can use to help you on any Towny server, but a lot of things will be specific. So let's get started. Towny is like I said, a bukkit plugin, and it is basically a protection plugin, but with all kinds of extra features that normal protection plugins may lack. In Towny, the idea is that towns are founded by a single mayor, and mayors can appoint assistants, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, it's founded by a single mayor, and then other members can join the town if they want. And there can be all kinds of little towns, and it's a way of kind of protecting an area and having each person have their own land that they basically own in that area. And there are some extra features like wars and things that we'll get to in a more advanced tutorial, but it really is quite a bit more exciting than just a regular protection plugin that you just say, oh, this is my land. So let's get started, and I will first create a new town here, and let's try the command T new, and let's just call this test town. Okay, we have our new town here. Alrighty, and now when we walk outside of our town, you can see in the chat it will tell us when we're outside of the town and when we're inside of the town, and that's going to be really handy in just a minute. Alright, so now this seems to be kind of hard to grasp for some people, but plots in Towny are 16 by 16 spaces of land which are or can be protected or owned by players and such. You cannot choose where a plot is. So in other words, plots already exist, and you can just claim plot that was claimed when we started the town, and it just by default was whatever plot we were standing on. So you can see that it's about right here. This is the wilderness, and then when I walk over here, I'm back in the town. Okay, so the most important thing about running a town is to watch the bank, and there's a command called /T that shows you the status of your town, and you can see under bank we have $0. Now, this isn't to be confused with my personal balance, which is a little over $15,000 right now, but the town has a separate bank for its own uses, and all of the upkeep and expenses of the town are going to draw from the town's bank, not yours, even if you're the mayor. So it's important to keep money in that bank, because if your town runs out of money and cannot afford to pay the daily upkeep, it will be deleted automatically. So what you have to do to put money in the bank initially is use the command T deposit and then the amount, and let's just put 500 in there for now. Okay, and now when we pull up /T, you can see that we have $500 in the bank. Now, right next to the bank is the daily upkeep, and it's in dollars, and the upkeep in this server is based on the number of plots that you have. So if your town has claimed 3 plots, the upkeep will be $3, and it's just $1 per plot per day. And days, for the purposes of this plugin, are real days, calendar days, not Minecraft days, because there are a lot of Minecraft days in a real calendar day. X over there, and the tax right now is showing 0, and that's because we haven't set a tax rate, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, so first of all, let me bring that back up. You can see that our town size right now is 1 of 8. And that's because when you first claim a town, the only plot that you've claimed is the one that you were originally standing on when you created the town. And that'll be your home plot. You could change where your home plot is, but the home plot is important because that's where the spawn will be, so that when people use the command tspawn and then your town name, test town in this in this instance, it will spawn you here. And now I was standing really close to spawn, so let me move over here so you can see what it actually does. There. And so it doesn't matter where you are, it's going to take you back to that spawn point. Okay? Now, let's, okay, so now we have one plot here, but let's say we want to claim more plots. We can go claiming away plots, but then it's going to get pretty hard to see what plot is one person's land and one plot is another, and that can lead to problems because you could accidentally place something on someone else's land and then they have access to it, you know, lots of bad stuff. So it's a good idea to find where the plot boundaries are. Since we only have one plot, we're going to find the boundaries on this single plot, and we're going to do it using the chat messages. And you can see that when we walk between the wilderness and the town, the message pops up in the screen. So now we know that this block is on the border. There we go. So let's go across and find the opposite border. There it is, between these two blocks. So we'll put a marker there, and we'll find the border this direction. It's right here. One final border right there. Okay, between these two, so it's right there. Okay, so there are the edges of this plot, but I like to mark them as corners instead, so I'm going to do that just by lining up the edges. That's right. I'm off by 1. Okay. Alright. And there you can see there is our first plot. And like I said, I did not choose where those boundaries were. Towny automatically divides the world into plots for you. So you can't choose where the grid is or where one plot begins and the other ends. All you can do is claim the plot for yourself. So there's our first plot. And this plot is our entire town. If you're inside that square, you're in the town, and if you're not, you're outside. Okay, so now notice that right now, if you walk into the wilderness, it says PvP. And then if you walk back into the town, it still says PvP. So you can actually, as a mayor, set it to where PvP is not allowed inside your town. And the way you do that is by using the command toggle PvP. And now town PvP has been disabled. So when I walk outside, PvP is allowed, and when I walk inside, no PvP. Now that command toggle PvP, if you shorten it up to just toggle, it'll show you a whole bunch of really useful options as a town mayor. PvP, public explosion, and some of these are pretty self-explanatory. If you toggle mobs off, then mobs will despawn if they enter your town property. So like that protects you from creepers marching into your town and blowing stuff up, which is always annoying. The other important one is open down there. You can have 2 modes for your town, and one of them's open and one's closed. The difference is that if your town is open, anyone can join your town at any time using the command join and then your town name, which in this case it's test town. Now, a lot of people don't like that because you don't know who's going to join and you have no control over who joins, and they can join anytime when you're offline or anything like that. So you can set your town as closed, and closed does not mean that no one can join. All closed means is that you have to invite a person in order for them to join, and the way you invite a person is by using the command add and the name of the person. So let's say I wanted to add this Samskix guy. That would be the command right there. I'm not going to, but that would be the command. And then he will be sent an invitation, and he can either accept or deny the invitation. Okay, so that's about it for that. Now, our town is measly right now. It's just one plot, so it definitely needs to be a little bit bigger. Plus, we don't want anybody to be able to claim our spawn plot because then they could mess with it. So we're going to claim this plot right here, which is right next to it. And the command to do that is just tclaim, and it should just claim it. And then so if we walk onto this plot, we're still in the town. You can see the boundary here. Okay, now as you're claiming land, it's a really good idea to mark where the plot boundaries are as you go. And the reason for that is Towny's only going to show you this message when walking from plot to plot if there's a difference in ownership of the plot. So if you claim two plots right next to each other, it's not going to show you the boundary between those two plots. It's only going to show you the boundary between the plot and like the wilderness. So it's a lot easier if you just mark the boundaries as you go. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. Because it's a grid, we automatically know that the edges of this plot are going to be the same as the edges of those. And then all we have to do is find the edge on this side. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's line that up. And then let's line this up. Perfect. Okay, so there are our two plots. And you can see that one side of this block right here is in one plot and the other side is in the other. Okay, this is our spawn. Now let's go into how we would actually design this town. If this was our spawn area, we would definitely want roads to be leading out from the spawn area. So let's mark this as spawn. So this is where people will pop up whenever they teleport to your town. And then roads have to lead off of this spawn area, but let's start simple. Let's say this is going to be where our road leads off. Okay, so we would have the road leading from the spawn right here, and you have to make the road the entire plot. You can't just make it, well, I mean, you can just make it come through the middle of the plot like this, but the point is that you can't have the road on somebody else's plot that they can claim, because then they can mess up your roads. So that's annoying. But anyway, so let's say I have my road running through here. Nice cobblestone path. And I'm going to go ahead and claim this plot right over here. Alright, and we'll find the edges for it real quick. Alright, there we are. Almost. Let me change a setting real quick because we're getting kind of funky. Okay, so here's our plot. Alright, and so let's say we want to make this a plot claimable for people who join our town. The way we do that is by using the command plot fs, and that stands for sale. And if we don't put anything after it, it's just going to make it free to claim. But you can also put in a price, like $50 or so on and so forth. But let's just make this one free for right now. So now that plot is for sale. So when we walk onto it, it'll pop up in the chat as for sale. And we can make a nice little sidewalk go up to our plot here. So that's nice. Okay, so let's say I'm a member. Let's say I'm not the mayor for a minute. Let's say I'm a member who's just joined the town and I want a plot. Well, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to walk onto the plot that I want, and I'm going to do the command plot claim. And now I own this plot. So when I walk off, you'll see that it's an unowned land, and then when I walk onto the plot, it belongs to me. So now I can build whatever I want to on this plot, and nobody else can build here but me. Okay, so that's really the main parts of it. That's about all there is to it. A lot of stuff you'll learn along the way, and you can always ask people questions, because there's a lot of knowledgeable people on the server. A couple high-level commands that you should definitely remember are the command toggle, which shows you the list of toggleable options, toggleable options. And then the next one is T-set. This shows you a couple other really valuable options. One of the most important ones on here would be taxes. So let's do T-set taxes $5. Okay, so now every person who owns a plot, for each plot they own, they're going to have to pay $5 a day. And when I pull up the town information, you can now see that I have a positive number for my balance here, because my daily upkeep is $3 because the town owns 3 plots, and then we have one member, myself, who owns a plot, and they have to pay $5 a day in taxes. So that means I'm going to be basically making $2 a day with this town, which is cool, but it could be a lot better. Okay, so that was another important one. Another valuable one is going to be T mayor and then a question mark, and that gives you some other menu options, including adding an assistant, setting things in your town like the taxes and all that, and then how to add and kick residents and whatnot. And that's another really valuable one. And then the last one that you really need to know is /plot. And the plot clear command here is not really that well understood, but it's very important because in this server you can build shops with signs and protection. You can also protect chests and everything by putting locks on them, which is just a sign. And what the plot clear command does is if you own the plot and you do the command plot clear on it, it will delete all doors and signs from that plot, no matter what they are. So that's really handy for getting rid of somebody who's abandoned the town and they just left signs, protection signs everywhere. Alright, and that's all we have for you today, and if you have any questions, please leave them as a comment in this video, and we will attempt to add them into the next tutorial, which will be a little bit more advanced. And so if you have any comments or questions, please post them, and we'll get to them. Until next time, Dr. Shiny, shining out!